to speak with a beer in my hand. Nothing gets better than this. This is the highlight of my career in golf. So what we're going to talk about today is same-sex marriage, how it's affecting the country, how it's affecting our church more than anything else. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, because all those people be quiet in the back. They all stop talking. Now I have your attention. Good. All right. So, just real quick, what I do for a living. I'm a lawyer. I've been doing law for over 20 years. I dress like a lawyer. I talk like a lawyer. I apologize for that. And I was a general counsel for the Diocese of Orange here. And my career kind of shifted, and now I represent over 100 dioceses across the country. So I actually have a few cases I can talk about, most I can, but I represent bishops all over the place. It's a nice opportunity to meet them and work with them. They're great men, and they care so much about our church. So I'm going to talk about this issue today. I'm going to say something right off the bat. I don't have all the answers. This is not going to be me up here just pontificating and telling you what's right and wrong. Every single one of you is going to get involved today. There are no right or wrong answers here. And I want to hear from people from the audience, and I want to pick you out. And I want you to know one thing. Whatever you say, I will pick on you and fight you over it. And you'll see in a minute. So, what happened last June? Obergefell decision. A friend of mine actually was the lawyer who fought this one out, the lead lawyer in front of the United States Supreme Court. Obviously, it didn't go the Catholic Church's, our magisterium's way. I got a call at about 8 o'clock in the morning from the fellow who owns Mike Warsaw, EWTN, National Catholic Register. He said, Mike, the 80-page decision just came out. I need a headline story from you in 2 hours, analyzing it. So I went as fast as I could, and I put together something that summarized the case, which was on EWTN and was on the National Catholic Register. The next week, I got a call from several bishops who said, we want to know what our legal options are and what we should be doing and everything else. So we want you to have a webinar, and I had 125 diocese representatives on the line. And I talked to them about what the meaning of this decision is. I had a couple other great folks who joined me, who I invited. I had Father Dominic Legg, who is a Dominican, who used to be a lawyer for the Justice Department. I had some really good people, and we tried to give the bishops some kind of a semblance of what this case, how it's going to affect our church. I just want you to know that back in June, July, when I did that, I was totally wrong. I had no idea what I was talking about. And in the last 6, 7 months, I've learned quite a bit. And I don't like the road that we're going down, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So, what do we have here? What we have going on, we're going to talk about is conflicting constitutional rights. What's happened since July, and what does the future hold? So, first thing, by a 5-4 majority, the Supreme Court says we have a new fundamental right. A fundamental right to gay marriage. Now, who's here has read the Constitution? Anybody remember seeing the words gay marriage in it? No. Anybody? Oh, she does, back there. Anybody think Thomas Jefferson or Adams or anybody else put that in there? No. Same-sex marriage is not in there. So what they did was they found it in the 14th Amendment. It's implied in the 14th Amendment. That's what 5 of our justices said. Now, what are fundamental rights? Fundamental rights are the most cherished and strongest rights that we have as a nation. The right to vote, freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of religion. All these major rights, and now we can add to it the right to same-sex marriage. Now this creates a problem. We have 2 fundamental rights that are going to clash. The First Amendment right to free exercise of religion against the 14th Amendment fundamental right to same-sex marriage. One of these is written into the Constitution. One is not. But the court, the Supreme Court, does not say that one fundamental right is more important than another one. What they will do is balance. We'll talk about balancing in a minute. So Justice Kennedy, he wrote the majority opinion. Here's what he said. when he started talking about religion and how same-sex marriage rights may clash with First Amendment religion. It must be emphasized that religions and those who adhere to religious doctrines may continue to advocate with utmost sincere conviction that by divine precept, same-sex marriage should not be condoned. The First Amendment ensures that religious organizations and persons are given proper protection as they seek to teach the principles that are so fulfilling and so central to their lives and faiths. So in 50 pages, he gives us those two sentences to say, you people who are religious can keep being religious. We're not going to shove same-sex marriage down your throat. Okay. What did Chief Proverbs say in his dissent? Today's decision creates serious questions about religious liberty. Many good and decent people who oppose same-sex marriage as a tenet of their faith and their freedom to exercise religion is unlike the right imagined by the majority actually spelled out in the Constitution. Hard questions arise when people of faith exercise religion in ways that may seem to conflict with the new right to same-sex marriage. So, Chief Proverbs said, we're going to have a problem, people. It's going to be much bigger than you think, Justice Kennedy, and let's see what happens. So, what are courts going to do? We have the First Amendment right to freedom of religion, and we have the 14th Amendment right to same-sex marriage. When these two clash, courts are going to do a balancing test. They're going to see which side has the stronger argument, which side suffers the most detriment, and which side gets the most benefit. And that side will win. So, I made this little chart for the bishops the week after. The week after we went ahead and we had this decision come out. If we start at sacred rituals, let me give you an example. Sacred rituals and sacraments. The sacrament of marriage. If somebody shows up and says to Father, a same-sex couple, I want you to marry me in the church right now under a Catholic wedding. We have a clash. Father's going to say, I can't do that. Right? I hope so. So he's going to say no, and they're going to sue. What side does the court come down on? We have two rights against each other. First Amendment, right to freedom of religion. 14th Amendment, right to same-sex marriage. Which side does the court come down on? They're going to say, walk on. Father has a right to say no. We can't force Father to go against his religious rights. Right? We're not going to do that. That's crazy. Right? Okay, so our sacred rituals and sacraments, probably we win. Right? We win. Now, let's say then we have strict adherence institutions, and the one that I like to use is St. Michael's Abbey up there. Right? Beautiful place. They follow everything to the T. Right? All Catholic kids up there working. Great. Any graduates here? Anybody? No? Yeah? Okay, good. Great place, right? They follow it. We move right along. Now let's just say, I don't know, a same-sex couple wants to come and work there. Probably they're going to fall down on the side of St. Michael's Abbey because they're a strict adherence institution. They follow the laws of the Catholic Church. Now, let's get to a multi-denominational institution. Let's get to Santa Margarita High School. Any Santa Margarita grads? Two? Oh, they don't want, she doesn't even want to raise her hand. She's hiding. All right, that's about 50% Catholic, 50% non-Catholic, right? They're not as Catholic as St. Michael's Abbey, are they? Right? They don't have Mass every day. So if we have an issue where a same-sex couple wants to come and teach, and they say no, there's less of a likelihood now that the court will come down on the side of the Catholic Church. Then we get to mixed secular and religious. Okay? Let's just say, I don't know, let's just say we have Catholic charities, and they do secular things and non-secular. The farther we get away from our sacred rituals, the more likely the court is to come down in favor of same-sex marriage as opposed to the Catholic Church. So, we're going to walk through some of those. Now I've kind of set it up. Now, I'm going to go back to July. In July, I had no clue how bad it was going to get. I had no clue that I was going to be spending 80% of my time across the country on this very issue. So, any of you lawyers in here? You want a new specialty? This may be it. Okay, so, a private religious school teacher, each one of these is an actual case that I have going on right now. A private religious school teacher requests health care benefits for their same-sex spouse. What do we do? First off, You know, I was talking to the bishops in July, and I was dealing with this as a legal issue. This isn't really a legal issue. I have to go to the bishop and ask Bishop, what would you like to do in this situation? By the way, this is not the Diocese of Orange. Don't try to guess what it is, but it's far away from here. But I have a teacher who comes in and says, I want dental benefits for my same-sex spouse. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? You're no help. We'll get another beer. What do we do? Hold on. What do we do?
Insurance in the exchanges.
Is this Obamacare? Have them purchased in the exchanges. Well, wait a minute. That's a benefit you're giving to married couples, right? So now you're going to discriminate against them because they're a same-sex couple, right? Is that okay? But they have a fundamental right to be married and to have the same benefits as a couple who's not a same-sex couple. Yes, ma'am. What do we do?
Well, the first question is, did the institution know that the teacher was homosexual at the time they were hired?
What difference does it make?
Well, because if the person didn't thought that, I mean, I thought most employers allow for a domestic partner. Your thoughts on domestic partner?
Okay. But this is different from domestic partners. This is a true, full-on marriage.
But if it's they're requesting health care benefits, regardless of whether or not they were homosexual or not, if they would have been eligible to receive those benefits under the domestic partner rule.
No, see, there you go. You're looking at it from an angle of domestic partnership. They are in the eyes of the civil law. By the way, I want to make sure I didn't make this clear. I'm not here to argue same-sex marriage. It's the law, okay? So I'm a Catholic, so you know what I believe. Well, no, I'm Catholic and I believe same-sex marriage is wrong. But that's, when I go around the country, I have to deal with this. This is the law. These are the rules. This is the way it goes. So, what do we do here in this situation? What should the school do?
Well, my concern would be if the church was faithful, would they be considered committing the sentiment as far as, I mean, the church would you consider it assent to support it?
Are they complicit in the marriage? Certainly you're forcing them to recognize the marriage, correct? So let me try something on for size with you, okay? I want everybody to try this on for size. Let me tell you why the school may lose. Let me play this with you. So you're forcing, it's okay to force that school to recognize that marriage. And they're going to say, no, we don't want to recognize it because it's not a marriage in our eyes. How many divorced teachers do you have at that school who've been remarried and didn't get an annulment? You give them benefits, don't you? Right? Sticky issue now, huh? So Mr. Father, you know, you're the president of school, so you recognize some invalid marriages and not other invalid marriages, right? You're the good one there, right? Yes, ma'am.
Did the person have to sign a statement of faith in order to work for the school?
Yeah, but we don't hold anybody accountable anymore to those things. I'm sorry, we don't. I apologize. I'm just trying to tell you how it is. I mean, what do we do here? Well, okay, now, all right, let's just give it to them. And now we're recognizing same-sex marriage in our school. And this becomes a slippery slope, right?
But if they're already allowing people that have been divorced and
Are not embraced with the church,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Where do we draw the line then? So what's next? Are we going to have to pay for abortions? You had a question over there. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, well, if they were recognizing other invalid marriages, why do they even care anymore? You know? So, you're either, like you said, the farther we get from strict adherence to the sacraments, then you're just going to get yourself into trouble.
Well, you know what I'm going to tell you is that, and I got to be the one to stand in court. Believe me, they throw that argument at me every time. Wow, you have divorced people there, and you let them go ahead and you pay their benefits, and they're not a real marriage in your eyes. I'm telling you, this issue is a lot bigger than you think. And I hate to say it this way, but about 40 years of us being sloppy as a church is starting to come back and bite us.
Exactly.
It's really coming back to bite us now and hurt us. And we have been a little sloppy. Now, one of the arguments that I like to use is, we don't ask teachers about their marriages, do we? Right? And they could be divorced, but we don't know if they had an elder. We don't know if their spouses died, their prior spouse died. But sure as the sun comes up tomorrow, when we see two spouses who are the same sex, we know that's not about marriage. So there's an issue of the blatancy of it. Who here thinks we should give the benefits? Raise your hand. Okay. Who here thinks we should not? Okay, so it's about an evenly split, and then the rest of you who haven't raised your hand, you've had at least 3 beers. That's okay. So, that works. But, you know, this is a big issue. It's also an issue of compassion and mercy and all those other things. And like I said, it was a legal issue, but when I get a case like this, first place I stop at is the bishop's office to sit down and say, what do you want to do? How do you want to handle this? Want to pick a fight here? Yes.
If the church wants to be compassionate and can afford to pay for it, they just redefine it, right? Redefine who they give benefits.
All right, well.
So you don't have to say it's based on the marriage.
I've been down that road, and there's dioceses that have wiped out all benefits for spouses. But who do you hurt? Well, no, I know. Who do you hurt? Who do you hurt when you do that? You know.
But I'm saying if they can afford it, that's the point.
The issue, yeah, the issue I have.
Just redefine why you do it. Is you're not doing it on the basis of recognition of marriage. You're doing it because you're helping the person out. Whatever.
Well, no, the issue, the problem here, the biggest issue you have is the state is forcing the Roman Catholic Church to recognize this marriage and to pay benefits to it. That's a problem. That's wrong. That's not right. So we're fighting this case. We're fighting on First Amendment grounds. That the church should not be forced to recognize marriages it doesn't condone. Yes, ma'am.
What would be the legal ramifications for letting that person go?
Oh, man. You are vicious. Why don't we excommunicate him while they're leaving? Help them pack their boxes. Oh my gosh. Somebody interfere. I don't think that's the right move. I just don't think so. Maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think that's the right move. Yeah, you let them go, there's a bigger problem. It has happened before. We'll get to that in a couple of those events. Let's go on to the next one. Real case. Healthcare worker in religious hospital requests healthcare benefits for the same-sex spouse. Now, this healthcare worker happens to be like an orderly, not a ministerial type of position. What are we going to do? It's a hospital. Now, you had a problem with the high school because same-sex couples, kids see it, it's on Facebook, it's everywhere. Now we're in a hospital situation. What are we going to do? Yes?
I mean, isn't there simply a way to say that you make, it's like, you and someone who lives in your household is entitled to the benefits without specifying the relationship?
When your mom and dad say you can stay here, but you can't, you know, you got to follow my rules type of thing?
No, but it's like, if you're going, is there a way around this by saying, by a policy of saying, for example, you as an employee get benefits, and there's some, and there's benefit, and you can also get benefits for one other person who lives in your household. It doesn't mention married or roommate or whatever.
Sorry, the law says you get it and your spouse gets it. You're discriminating against that person because of their same-sex marriage. No way around that. No way around it. Well, let's play this game out a little bit. We're at a hospital. Where do hospitals get most of their funds? Federal government, baby. State government. They're giving governmental funds. So we're moving further and further away from our sacred rituals, right? Father, you work in a hospital? Yes.
Yes, I'm working at the hospital. So the vast majority of the people who are employed there are not Catholic and not living according to what we would feel comfortable, and even Catholics were not sure. So yeah, I think we have to pay.
We're further away from the sacrament, that red area, right? So the further we get away, we'll probably have to pay. So what does that mean? We're forcing the Roman Catholic Church, a juridic person, right? An arm of our bishop, who our bishop has oversight responsibilities for, to recognize a same-sex marriage, right? This one's a difficult one to get around. Now, we're at a high school, and maybe 80%, 90% of the teachers are Catholic. And here, we got probably 20, 30% are Catholic, 40, right? They're outnumbered. We've watered down our Catholicism a little bit in the hospital. Who we pick. So we got to live with that. That's a tough one right there. That's a very tough one. Very difficult. Let's move on to some more fun. Oh, this one's good. A same-sex couple enrolls their son at a private religious elementary school. That's a hard one, huh? That's tough. That's a tough one. Bishop, what do we do? What?
Accept
Oh, well, accept him. He's a kid? Okay, so he's in 3rd grade, and he's going to show up with 2 mommies and 2 daddies, and everybody's going to see it, right? And this couple here spends all their money to send their kids to school to get away from that in the public schools where they make them all use the same bathroom. They're not going to be happy with that, right? They're not going to be happy. Yes, sir. Bishop, what do you think? Your Excellency.
If the school is teaching Catholic teaching, how uncomfortable is that for the student? Why would the parents want the student to be in that environment?
I don't know. But they want them there. They want their kid there.
Well, is that not the case in the South?
No. Wait a minute. The kid's baptized Catholic. The kid is baptized Catholic. Yes, ma'am.
It's not the child that is, in the marriage. The child is just living in that. But they didn't choose that. They're not choosing to be in that situation. And I think it would be an opportunity to reach that child.
But isn't there a broader context here that when we accept that child, how many of you went to Catholic schools? Raise your hand. All the ones with a beer in their hand. Well, parents are the foundation and backbone of any Catholic school. I don't know. What I mean,
Well, why would you punish the child for the sins of the parent?
who thinks, let me ask this question first. We have a baptized child. Who thinks we should admit the child? That's a threshold question. Raise your hand. Who thinks we should not? Okay, all right. Secondary question, go ahead. I don't know. Maybe he's adopted. Maybe he was adopted at age 2. I don't know. Yes. Wait, you are 2. You got to speak up. There you go.
I know some same-sex couples who consider themselves Catholic.
Sure.
They're not married, but but they go around saying, well, we don't have sex. But I mean, they still call themselves lesbians. But
So they're
but they're they consider themselves very Catholic. So if they had a child, they probably want to send their kid to a Catholic.
Okay. All right.
So I think maybe they should admit the child.
All right. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Like with same-sex couples, it's just the behavior that's a sin. But the people aren't the sin themselves.
Well, does anybody see a problem? I got a problem here. Little Billy is going to come to school, and they're going to teach the sacraments. And the teacher's going to stand up there and say, marriage is between a man and a woman, or a woman and a man. It's not between two. It's a sin. It's a sin for 2 people to get married. And they're going to teach that to the kid who's then going to go home. until that. Is there a problem with that? Yes.
I think that's where the whole separation between church and state. So, us as religious people, then we teach our children that marriage is sacred between a man and a woman. But the law says, if the law says same-sex marriage is okay, that's separate from our religious beliefs. So we as parents should teach our children that that's not okay. When you grow up, if you're a man, you're gonna marry a woman. If you're a woman, you're gonna marry a man. So regardless of what the law says, we're gonna do what we believe in.
I'll drink to that. But let me stop for a minute on another issue. I got another issue I'm going to throw out. All right. So every year, every Catholic school I know has a big dinner dance, right? Where all the parents come. Whoa. Look at the two guys in tuxedos making out in the corner. Whoa. Wow. Wow, boy. What are we going to do? Kick them out? You're discriminating against a couple based upon their marriage, their same-sex marriage. Yes, ma'am.
Is that how long until the son or daughter, until the son and daughter of the same-sex couple like starts to ask out your son or daughter? They have the same information. So.
Everybody's going to turn gay.
And then-
I've heard that one too. I know. But let me just say, I'm standing up there on behalf of the Michael Caspino, on behalf of the Roman Catholic Bishop of whatever, and the other side comes out and says, you know, Judge, they have parents at that school who are divorced and didn't get remarried in church. You know, Judge, they have parents at that school who are living together and not married. We all know that happens in Catholic schools. Yes, ma'am. All the way in the back, at the bar.
So, in the case where there are couples that are divorced or remarried or things like that, they have hope for a true marital union. Them two together, they have hope in the future, but a same-sex couple does not. So, unfortunately,
You know, I can tell you this. Every night, they go into their bedroom and their kids watch that. Every night, everybody in the school knows that they're sinning, that they're doing wrong, they're doing bad. There's no excuse to say maybe they'll be good in the future. You like that argument? I just made it up. Yes.
Wouldn't it be better to just have a good conversation about it? It opens up to the conversation. So if the kid is admitted to the school, then, and those parents are there, same sex or whatever, then those conversations could actually come up and truth can be spoken in love.
All right, that's one thought. And maybe we'll even evangelize the parents, right?
Exactly.
You never know. Yes, sir.
What if we pass a rule in Catholic schools that only devout, practicing Catholics can enroll their children in those institutions?
They might be empty. I had somebody once say when I was doing this guy, they go, well, we shouldn't allow sinful people in the schools. I go, well, I'm out. That's it for me. That's it for everybody I know. We're out of here. We are all sinners. We are all bad at times. We're all trying to get better, hopefully. That's the difference between us. I hope. So let me give you the rundown on this one. This one really tortured my head for a long time. First thing, there are a minority of bishops that I've spoken to, a small minority who said do not admit the kid. Most all of them say admit the child. Baptized child you should never ever turn away. That's the theory. So I was asked by a number of bishops to put together a uniform policy across the United States for this situation. And I wrote the policy up over a period of about a day. You should see the piles of paper I had in my office, yellow pads, tearing them out, redoing it. And I finally came up with something about 1.5 pages long, which included that you sign and acknowledge that we're going to teach your child that same-sex marriage is wrong. We're going to teach your child that the only true marriage is the marriage in the church, etc. And I got all done with it, and I sent it around to several people I know who were very good people and talked to them. And I got it almost perfect, and then I tore it out, and I threw it away. And I came up with a new approach. I came up with a document that's signed by every parent, not just same-sex parents. Every parent that says, this is what we teach, this is how we teach it, and you gotta accept it and love it. So I learned something in this. Yes, her hand, shut up, yes.
I hope you also included that about like, heterosexual couples having valid marriage.
Absolutely, and abortion,
Thank you.
and euthanasia, and assisted suicide, and on and on and on. These are the fundamental core teachings which your child will be taught, and you are expected in public to support those, or you're not going to be a parent. Yes, sir.
Define accept it and love it.
What's that?
Define accept it and love it.
Accept it, love it.
Yeah, I mean,
Praise
they know
God.
you're going to teach it there, but they're not necessarily going to buy
You
it.
complain you're at it. I've already had those cases. No, I mean, you got to accept it and support it. Accept it and support it in public. At night, you can go home and you and your spouse have a glass of wine and talk about how bad the church is. You're not going to go on Facebook and say it. Yes.
So does that mean, like, in any public setting, like if they were interviewed by a reporter, oh, this is how I feel, they're barred from stating
Yeah.
a different opinion?
Or
Okay.
they get kicked out from school.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, throw you out. Yeah,
Okay.
you're right. Yes. They can show up the other day. That's a great one. That's a great one. And this is my explanation for that. They're adults at the event, and if I saw that after one of those beers, I'd probably laugh. You know, I mean, come on. Let's not take ourselves so serious. You know?
So what did the bishop say?
Bishop's loving. I think it's a great idea. And several have taken my policy and they're accepting it for next year's school year. So what I'm trying to say is this. If we want to exercise our religious rights in the Catholic Church, we got to up our game, right? We got to up our game. We can't be sloppy anymore. All right, next one. A same-sex couple want to rent a Catholic parish hall for their wedding reception. So this is preposterous, right? This is crazy. So the Obergefell decision came out on a Friday morning. On Saturday morning, I got a call from the General Counsel of the Archdiocese of New Orleans. I don't think she had a problem with me saying this. Saying, Mike, we just had a same-sex couple show up asking to rent the hall for their reception. Gee, they didn't wait 24 hours for the paint to dry. They went right ahead, and they jumped on it. So what are we going to do here? What do? Do we allow them to have their wedding reception? No way. We're on uncharted ground here. Yes?
It's private property, right?
Well, wait a minute. This is private property, and under the law, they can't turn away a couple who's same-sex wants a beer and a hot dog, right?
Doesn't this relate to the same case that they have the cake decorator?
Yeah. In some respects, the cake decorator isn't parish property. Yes.
Well, it's not, I mean, can you say it's exactly private property? Because it's religious property. Because
Well-
it's underneath the pastor of the church and then that diocese of the church.
Do we only use it for church activities only?
But churches don't use it contrary to church. So like.
Well, wait a minute here, wait a minute, let's think about this. Do you know the #1 location used by Alcoholics Anonymous in the United States is?
That would be
It's not a Catholic activity. Yes, ma'am, we'll leave with the gloves. It's so cold in here. Or do you hold your beer that way to keep it warm? No, that's discrimination. Yes, ma'am.
You can write a paper like you did for the first incident, and then have them sign it, and then they go sign it, and they're like, oh wait, you can't do this because this is a same-sex marriage, and they don't accept that.
No, wait a minute. You rent your parish hall out for the senior center. You rent it out for the craft fair that comes in. You rent it out for the book club. You rent it out to AA. You rent it out to all kinds of people. And now you're going to come in and say you can't go ahead. You're going to tell people they can't come in. It becomes a house of public accommodation at that point. Yes, sir.
Can we define it as we rent it out to morality in line with ours, or those that are not all like
We rent it out to everybody who agrees with us. And those who don't agree with us, we don't rent it out. We discriminate against them, right? That's what that's called. Yes, sir.
So basically, I would think of it as like a restaurant or something. They have the right to refuse service. Don't they have the right to?
You have a right to refuse service if you're a German, but you don't have a right to refuse service if you're African American, Hispanic, if you are from another country. That's unlawful discrimination. No shirt, no shoes, no service, that's fine, because it applies to everyone. But you can't say that you're going to discriminate against something, against a fundamental right.
Why do you have to disclose why you're shutting it down?
Why you're shutting what down?
The hall.
Believe me, these people are good.
Well, I'm in the wedding industry.
Yeah.
I am happy to tell someone I'm just out of it.
Well, you can for so long. Yes?
What if you only allow receptions for people who get married?
Well, that's not the issue. The issue is you allow all this other stuff non-church related. Once you start allowing non-church related, it becomes a house of public accommodation at the same level as this place does. And that's a problem. Yes?
When you let AA into the church, it's not like they're using a church for a drinking party, you know? So
like in here?
So in a way, the only thing the church is doing is not allowing an activity to occur that violates their beliefs.
But
So
the difference
doesn't the
is
church
it's a
have the same-
fundamental right under the Constitution.
But how is the church's ability to reject it less of a fundamental right when the church, when you have freedom of religious expression, you're clearly in a religious place and that would clearly be violating.
But it's less of a religious place because you allow in the craft fair, EAA, the seniors, the bingo, and the rest
It's
of
not
that.
less of a religious place because those other activities aren't in violation of any belief.
Right. Now, if it was on the other side of the parking lot and it was the church, is there a difference there? Yeah. That's called sacred space. Yes, sir.
Make a rule that wedding receptions, the parties have to have been married at that church.
But that's still not going to do it because you allow other things than wedding receptions there. So I talked to bishops who said, let's just get rid of everything we do that's non-church related. And then all the pastors yelled, we make money off those things. We can't do that. And fathers go, yeah, I know that. Right. All right, best answer I came up with. I wrote a nationwide policy for every parish, or every single diocese in the United States. It's rolling out now. The best I could do is exactly what this gentleman came up with. You are junior lawyer of the night. Good job. I wrote a policy that says that we will accept all groups from the outside, but we will not accept groups that are offensive to the teaching of the Roman Catholic Church. Does that fly? Anybody think I win? Anybody think I win? Raise your hand. Anybody think I lose? I don't know. We'll see. Probably not. Who knows? That's the best I can come up with. Adoption services. A same-sex couple wants to adopt a child through a religious entity opposed to same-sex marriage. Used to be, 40 years ago, all of the adoption services were Catholic. All of them. Now, it's a small minority. So, we go to same-sex couple wants to adopt a child from a Catholic adoption agency. Who's going to win that one? It's a same-sex couple with a good, they earn a lot of money, they're doing great, they're both working, great stuff. Who's going to win? The couple's going to win. And the couple has won in the past. And that is why so many of our bishops are shutting down Catholic adoption services. They're funded by the government all the time. And they work with social workers all day, law enforcement, they're intertwined with the social services system of the county. Yes, sir?
I was going to say, why don't you have them, if they're going to do that through a Catholic agency or Catholic adoption agency, why don't you have them pledge to have the child baptized and brought up in a religious school of some kind. Or
Can't do it.
can't do it, why?
Discriminating against them even further. Even further. We have to realize this. We have to realize
I'm just
this.
saying, though, if they want to do it through a Catholic agency, why?
Well, no, I got to tell you this. Catholic agency is the only agency in town. Used to be County of Orange went through Catholic charities to have all their kids adopted out. That's changed. Mother Teresa's ministry in Calcutta stopped and closed down their adoption service because they were forced in Calcutta to accept adoption from same-sex parents. You see how it's changing every facet of our church. People thought, boy, it'll be, we won't have to do same-sex marriages. No, it touches everything. Yes, ma'am.
So I see the hindrance on the Catholic charity side of things, but the reason the government was needing the church to do this to begin with is because they couldn't afford to do it. So what's going to happen, I mean, just on the government side, who's going to start treating, like Catholic hospitals are going to stop having to do certain things, if they're forced to do abortion services. Who is going to service these people when the government can't afford to? I mean, it's a lose for our side, but eventually it's going to be a lose for the government too, because they're going to
It already is.
Yeah,
It's huge. First off, the reason why we do it is because we do it better than anybody else. The reason why we do healthcare is because we do it better than everybody else. We have more experience, we're better at it. And dollar for dollar, you think the federal government does a great job, dollar for dollar? Come on. They spent $1 billion trying to do a website, I don't know if you know this, but all these children coming across the border, you know who's taking care of them? Catholic Church. And you know who's suing them now? The ACLU. You know why? Because they're not referring people out for abortions and they should. I mean, that's going on right now. There's an assault on the Catholic Church. There is a disrespect, I'm getting off the top of it, there is a disrespect for the Catholic Church that has invaded our judiciary. I have the case in Baton Rouge where they're trying to compel a priest who's a client of mine to testify as to what went on during a confession. I have judges there who aren't recognizing, understanding, and respecting the Roman Catholic sacrament of confession. That would never happen 20 years ago. Things are changing quick. Yes, sir?
You mentioned that the Catholic Church is a juridical person in the United States. So we're playing by...
I don't want to get into juridic person. That's it. All right. Juridic person is kind of the sloppy way of saying like a corporation is. It means that you're a Catholic entity. What's that?
We're playing by the rules of another house.
Well, render to Caesar what is Caesar, render what is God is God. There's that issue too that you have to. But what I'm trying to say is that we shouldn't be in a situation where we're forced to be complicit in actions, in ceremonies, in rituals that we don't agree with. And we're getting to the point where we're getting forced to do that. See if I got one more. So, oral arguments. Justice Alito, the Solicitor General, argued on behalf of the Obama administration. If the court finds there is a constitutional right to same-sex marriage, will a faith-based college or university lose its tax-exempt status if it opposes same-sex marriage? The Solicitor General said it's going to be an issue. So, what they were referring to is the Bob Jones case in the 1980s. Bob Jones University is a religious institution named after Bob Jones, obviously. And they did not allow interracial dating. No interracial dating allowed. What a court found, what the IRS found, was that is so repugnant to the values of the United States of America that we're going to yank away their tax exemption. They're no longer going to be tax exempt. That's devastating to any institution that's nonprofit. So now here's the issue. Are we going to get into a situation where our church doesn't allow same-sex marriage, doesn't give benefits to same-sex couples, and the Roman Catholic Church's tax-exempt status is going to be pulled away? Who thinks that could happen? So Bob Jones was decided in the 80s. 25 years earlier, interracial dating was thought of as taboo, and it was kind of accepted. Today, same-sex marriage is thought of as a little bit taboo, getting accepted. And I hate to say this, but I watch TV once in a while. I look at the internet, and to a lot of kids nowadays, gay is cool. Gay is awesome. Sometimes when you watch TV, you see gay couples are happier than straight couples. It has been glorified. I think it's only a matter of time before they use the church's belief against same-sex marriage to take away our tax-exempt status. That will devastate our church. It's going to happen someday, sometime, probably in my lifetime, probably in your lifetime. Yes?
What are the ramifications of that?
What are the ramifications?
45, 40%.
Yeah, probably 50% of whatever the church has is gone. Every time you give money to the church, it's not after-tax dollars. You know, it's devastating. We don't, as a church, have to pay property taxes. We have that beautiful cathedral, Christ Cathedral, and let's just say it's worth $200 million. And let's just say we had to pay 2% on that every year. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money that gets pulled out of our schools, or gets pulled out of our charitable works, or gets pulled out of other elsewhere. It's a real problem. Yes, ma'am.
This might throw the whole conversation off, but I'm curious as to how the church in Canada handles this.
Canada?
Yeah, well, I don't, because they've had same-sex marriage for...
I can't even figure out the United States. How am I going to figure out Canada?
I was just curious how the bishops there handle it, because obviously the same-sex pastors not, right?
I don't know. This stuff gives me a headache thinking about the U.S. It gives me I got a difficult time enough with that. Yes?
And it's been like this in other places growing up, like in Europe. Like, how do they handle it? I mean, wouldn't you want to look and see how they do this in a comparative way? Like,
Anybody been to a church in Europe lately?
yes.
You're probably the only one in there, weren't you?
Yes.
I mean, I hate to say this, but I think what the secularists want is us to be like Europe, where people don't go to church. In Europe, they don't get religious weddings anymore. They go down and they get them at the town hall, and they look at weddings now as not a spiritual sacrament. They look at it more of a ministerial function of the government. Problem. Yes, sir, in fact.
What do we do about all this?
What do we do about all this? Well, you know, I've asked a number of bishops about this, and I've said, what should we do? And a couple of things I can tell you, very important. Number one is it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And your bishops and your pastors and all your priests are going to need a lot of support from the laity. Now more than ever is the time for everybody in the room here to stand up and be Catholic. To not be afraid of saying, I'm Catholic, I'm proud, this is what we believe. That's what we have to do today. We have to keep the church alive, and we have to wait for a renaissance to occur within secular society and for them to come back to us. The church doesn't change. Society changes. And we have to keep the church alive and functioning so that society turns around and comes back to us. Yes, ma'am?
Why doesn't the church do like what they do in Mexico, where they don't do legal marriages? They do religious sacraments. And if you want a legal marriage, you go have that done civilly. And wouldn't that protect the church?
I don't know. There's priests who are making me do that now in our diocese.
So they can.
You heard that? I mean, people are. I know some that are saying, go get your civil marriage and then come over here. I don't like it. I mean, there should be an intertwining between our governmental. I mean, look, our marriage in the church is a beautiful thing. It's a solemn thing. It should be recognized by the state as a valid marriage without me having to go get their approval.
But then if you get their approval, then they also get to say, you know what I mean? Then they also get to have say in it. If you separating, then they can't say what happens in your sacraments if it has nothing to do with the
Oh
marriage.
yeah, they can. Oh, yeah, they can. You're discriminating by not giving that benefit of a religious wedding to a same-sex couple. Believe me, I've already heard that argument. What's that?
I know a lot of things, like a lot of gay people, and a lot of them are not religious.
I need you to understand one thing. They believe it's a victory to make our church bow to them and to have their weddings. That is the ultimate acceptance. It legitimizes. And I'm not saying they're illegitimate. Look, I also believe, I want to be very careful here. We should never demonize people in same-sex marriages. We should accept them. We should love them. I'm fully in favor of them coming to Mass. And I'm fully in favor of trying to evangelize them. We should never, ever, I've never made fun of anybody in a same-sex marriage, but we should accept it here and then. But make no mistake about it, they want to have their marriages in a Catholic church. Yes, sir?
Going off of what she was saying, even if the church doesn't offer civil marriage in their sacramental marriage, that still wouldn't protect the church from any of these cases with adoptions, hospital endings. It's still being persecuted on all of the other grounds, just they can divorce from that one particular topic. So it still doesn't really help.
God, I gotta tell you, every time I think I've seen it all, I get shocked. I had a case just 2 weeks ago. Oh my gosh, I couldn't have thought this up after 10 years, I couldn't have thought it up. A couple showed up, a same-sex couple, for diocesan marriage counseling. I never would have thought that one up. What do we do? Was he here? Was the question. Counsel them, oh, you've got a great marriage, stay together. I don't know. I don't know. I told you the meeting, I don't know a lot of these answers. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah. Sure. So, that's a great question, okay? No offense to anybody here who takes offense to this. Most of the other religions are raising the white flag as fast as they can, okay? Look at what's happening in the Episcopal Church. Look at what's happening in the Presbyterian Church. Go ahead. Now, I know a rabbi friend of mine, devout Orthodox rabbi, fired all of the non-Jewish teachers at his school because of this issue. He's cleaning house so that he doesn't have to accept same-sex teachers, same-sex whatever. Sure. Ministerial exception. Sure. Yes, ma'am.
I feel like the fundamental issue is that people don't understand marriage as a sacrament. The reason why it gained so much favor among people is because people look at it as, oh, we should get married because we love each other. Isn't love enough? And marriage is so much more than just love. It's a sacrament. And so many people are like, well, why should we stop for people who love each other from getting married?
You're a bad person when you do that. Mean. You're closed-minded.
I'm Catholic in my family.
Come to my house at Christmas. Yeah, I got a family too. I should wear a GoPro at Christmas for all the arguments. Everybody can see it. Yes, sir.
I'm still having a problem with the 14th Amendment foundation for this.
Yeah.
Because they're creating rights out of thin air, because they go down this route, they can go with polygamy, nothing's going to stop that, or incest, whatever you want to do. As a matter of fact, the gentleman who wrote the 14th Amendment clearly stated that it would not apply to people born here to legal aliens, that they would be citizens. But we still honor, even though the gentleman who wrote the 14th Amendment said it doesn't apply to them. So, and there's no mention of the 10th Amendment anywhere, that it's not the Constitution, it goes back to the 10th Amendment.
I don't know what to say. I just argued the law. I don't write it. I mean, look, we're stuck with this. For Roe v. Wade, 40-something years old, right? We're stuck with this now, and now we're going to have 40-something years of litigation after. We're stuck with it.
Dred Scott, but we can go on and
Yeah.
on.
Don't waste too much time thinking about how they screwed up, because boy did they ever screw up. It's just now going to take a generation at least to turn it back. So,
I'm still trying to understand
Yeah.
how the Ten Commandments
Yeah.
are fighting, because I know certain states are fighting
Yeah.
that.
When I get cards in Vegas, I gotta play those cards on the table. Those are the ones. I can't wish I had other cards. Nope.
Do you know any cases in Muslim faith around?
Yeah. Those same-sex couples do not go to the Muslim place. I don't know why. There's some religions they don't pick on. That's one of them. That's all I'll say about that. I don't want to say mean about that. Yes.
How is like conservative Protestants handling this?
How is what?
How are the conservative Protestants handling this?
The conservative Protestants, most I've seen are raising the white flag. And I have, well, if you want to talk about evangelical churches, like the hardcore evangelical church, Pastor Rick is against, I mean, he's falling in line with the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is the largest organized religion in the world. It is the moral authority in the world, I believe. And you have churches who are falling in line with the Catholic Church and those who are raising the white flag. Most of the Protestants, especially the old mainline Protestants, are raising the white flag. Some of the Southern evangelicals, some of the Baptists, they're going right along with the Catholic Church. I have some of them as my clients. Absolutely.
Well, my family is Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, and that's very conservative.
Yeah.
They have not changed. I
Yeah.
don't think they're going to.
Good for them. Yeah, good for them.
But I mean, is the law only going to target Catholics, or they can target anyone who says?
We are the largest target out there. We always seem to be the one that gets targeted. They don't go to Muslims and spit on their imams. Unfortunately, they spit on priests. I mean, it's terrible that happens. What I'm trying to say is, we have a special place in this fight because we are so large and because we are such an influential church. So we will always be the largest target. Yes, sir.
Can the church be more legally influenced?
How?
Can it reverse it?
Anybody Matthew Kelly fans here?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So Matthew Kelly always talks about how what would happen if Catholics voted as a bloc together in presidential elections and in congressional elections. It'd be a totally different country. Much, much different. Get involved with the political system. For some reason, we have been remiss in really, as laity, getting involved in the Catholic faith, and wearing it on our sleeve in the political process. I tell everybody, I'm not Catholic, I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican, I'm Catholic. I vote Catholic. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Well, please have the issue from learning what love truly means. No longer is fundamental important. Keep that up fighting this another forward-moving Catholic Church that supports us that we do as supporters of our parishes. Show what you believe, not what it means.
Louder.
Not to be defined by your relation with another human being, but how you treat them.
Well, yeah, I mean, we need to treat everybody with mercy and compassion.
And needs to have the forefront, though.
Should.
That's the fundamental.
Yeah, but at some point, the other side wants to coerce us and not look at us with mercy and compassion. Come on board with me. You want to see merciful and compassionate people? They ain't there. On the other side, it's the ACLU or wherever it may be. Believe me, they're not looking at me with mercy and compassion. They want to rip my guts out. They want to rip the bishop's guts out. They want us to bow to them. They want us to get on our knees. That's what it's about, unfortunately. We need to take the high road, and we need to be merciful and compassionate, because that's who we are. We can't get into a situation where we're in a fight against them, redeeming them, or anything else. Yes, sir.
So, in your chart, we have, when you talk about the restrictive
Yep.
service people, they have a better chance of winning
Yes.
these suits. So is the answer really to just make our Catholic hospitals or Catholic schools or Catholic charities more strict observance and, actually be Catholic?
Outstanding
And
question.
then winning more cases.
It's an outstanding question, but when that person comes in bleeding and they say they're Episcopalian, no, go. Yeah, your head's cracked open.
That would maybe all your nurses need to go to mass every day. And,
You can try that. I think you have a lot of shifts not covered, if that was the case. I think that we should be able to, as an organization, no matter who works for us, still keep our core values. That's my view. But unfortunately, as we add people who are non-Catholic, as we compromise our values, I will say something that I don't think anybody's going to disagree with here. When we get away from our core values as Catholics, that's, as a church, when we get in trouble. We start to get in trouble then. So, a little sloppiness in the last 40 years is coming back to bite us.
What is the answer to tighten the belt a little more?
The answer, at the end of the day, is it's up to bishops. Bishops have a lot of problems on their plate now. I can say, let's take St. Joe's and get rid of everybody who's non-Catholic. How's that going to look? That's not going to look. What are we going to do? We're going to have an empty hospital now. And we're only going to bring in the best Catholics. What does that mean? Because the best Catholics, are not always the ones who go to Mass every week. So it's hard to tell who the best Catholics are. I don't know. It's a very, very difficult situation. So if there is, at this point, there's no answers. Sorry. Thought you were going to come here and hear somebody who knew what they were talking about. Sorry about that. Religious institutions, businesses, I preach, got to get out in front of this. They got to figure out what they're going to be. And what I tell everybody at the end of this is, even though there's all these restrictions, even though it feels like the world's coming down around you, be Catholic, be bold, don't be afraid, and go out there and preach the gospel of Jesus Christ to everybody. Don't be afraid to be Catholic, no matter what the Supreme Court says.
We had first 300 years, it was illegal to be Catholic.
Who knows? Thank you all very much. Appreciate having me.